Hi, this is JJ Singh with Partap University, and today I'm going to be discussing with you the ethics and professional standards that apply to CFA exams. In particular, I'm going to focus on level 2, but this is very similar to what's happened with level 1 for those of you who've taken level 1, who've passed level 1. Those of you who are studying for level 1 could also benefit from this, as could people who are studying for the level 3 ethics portion. So, just to go over what I'm going to discuss in the order in which I discuss it, I'm going to start off with the Code of Ethics. Then I'm going to go on to what's the meatiest portion of all this, which is the standards of professional conduct. And then we have a few other things after that, soft dollar standards, as well as research objectivity standards. And we'll read some cases, or at least I'll discuss some cases verbally, and we'll talk about a bit trade. We'll talk a bit about trade allocation, changing investment objectives, and the prudent investor rule. This is worth, for the level 2 exam anyway, about 10% of the exam. The ethics material is worth about 10% of the exam, and it's also considered a tiebreaker. So if you're kind of a marginal kind of candidate where it's not clear whether you're going to pass or not, the CFA Institute may pass you based on you being better with ethics than someone else, because ethics is very important. It may not seem so with all the scandals we've been hearing about, but it actually is extremely important, not just for a CFA charter holder, but just in life in general. So there's going to be some memorization to do, and there's also going to be some intuition to acquire from having practiced with some questions. We're mainly going to be talking about interpreting the code and the standards in the context of certain specific situations, and we'll also try to identify violations of the code and of the standards. So just be aware that we'll be looking at some fairly complex situations, and we'll need to know how to identify the violations by name, not necessarily by number, like this is a violation of 2A or 3B or something like that, but actually the name of the violation is all we really care about. So as far as the code of ethics goes, that'll be the first thing we discuss. That's going to be a lot of memorization. Then the meatiest, I would say, or for a vegetarian, maybe the tofu-est portion, would be the guide for standards. And in that, you're not just going to be memorizing. There'll be a fair bit of memorizing, but you'll also have to be able to wield some intuition around. And then when we get to the soft dollar standards and research objectivity standards, we need to just keep our eyes on the forest, understand the big picture of what's going on there. So what are the 6 parts of the Code of Ethics? Well, let's go through them one by one. And I'm going to start off by being very succinct, if I may, saying that part 1 is be ethical. What does that mean? It means show some integrity, competence, diligence, respect with not just your clients and your employer or employees, but also prospective clients and the people you work with, your coworkers, and the general public. So pretty much everybody. You have to be ethical with everybody. Okay, Code of Ethics Part 2, have integrity. And what does integrity mean? Well, it includes things like honesty, truthfulness, accuracy, it's consistency of character, you might say. You don't want to have conflicting values being evident. Without getting into too much detail about what integrity means, let's just say that for this part of the for the code of ethics, you basically want to put your client's interests above your own interests, and that doesn't matter whether your client's a little old lady with a fixed income or some giant corporation. Okay, your client's interests always come first. Code of Ethics Part 3: be careful and be independent. Now, by careful I mean show some reasonable care. This would apply to such things as due diligence. When you're making some sort of professional judgment, have that be independent. Okay, don't let it be biased by shady dealings or shortcuts or that sort of thing. So you want to basically be doing your job here, to put it bluntly. I don't know if that really describes it, but when you come up with a judgment, you better have a good reason. Basically, I think that's what applies here. Code of Ethics Part 4: add value to your profession. Okay, so that means not only are you being ethical, but you also want to set an example for other CFA charter holders or candidates, for other people who are co-workers who don't have CFA charter who are not CFA charter holders. Basically, you just want to shine in front of other people and encourage them to be ethical as well. Code of Ethics Part 5: don't mess up the capital markets. So whatever the rules are that govern the capital markets, you need to abide by those rules and do whatever is reasonably asked of you in order to uphold those capital markets. And finally, Code of Ethics Part 6: be competent. And that can also be a little bit vague. Taking these CFA exams is a way in which you're acquiring competence. But then once you've done the exams and you become a CFA charter holder, you still have to keep up with current developments, current changes that the CFA Institute may implement from time to time. And so it's kind of like a continuing education thing. You basically want to maintain your competence at an adequate level. So that's the code of ethics. It's kind of a grand overarching description of what you need to do, and we'll of course need to look into the details, and those details are shown when we discuss the standards. And so that's what we'll do next.